Hi guys, happy Monday. I wanted to get my video out this morning so that we can spend this week talking about the scoreboard with a little bit more knowledge behind it. Last week I was having a great conversation with Amy and Ivy, and Amy said she wanted to learn a little bit more just about the scoreboard. So I thought today would be a good day to share that. We've waited to dig deeper into the scoreboard just to get you guys thinking about different things that we measure, engaging in that conversation. So then when we dig deeper into the nuts and bolts of it, it might make a little bit more sense, won't be quite as dry. So spend some time right now just thinking about the conversations we've been having. We've had a big conversation about happy factor. Today we're going to talk about the energy piece a little bit, but we're going to talk more about what the scoreboard actually means to a business. So this might be a little bit longer. If you want to watch this in 2 parts, that's good too. Just make sure you comment after each part so that you can kind of learn what you've shared or ask me questions. I imagine this will have the potential for questions as I'm kind of trying to share this based off just a conversation with you off the top of my head. So if there's little pieces that don't quite line up with what I'm saying, or you're curious or you want a clarifying question, please write it in below. Also, I'm going to be referencing a couple things in this conversation that I will either link below or provide an image to so that you can see it. So for starters, just kind of why we talk about a scoreboard. There's a book called The Great Game of Business, and it was written by a gentleman who was tasked with running a warehouse that built tractors, I believe. And so he noticed that the number that they were able to put out every day or week just kind of varied and dependent, and there wasn't a lot of good energy in hitting goals and deadlines. So over time and thought, he decided he wanted to change the way they were running their business. Instead of looking backwards and saying, oh, the fourth quarter was bad, we need to project this in the first quarter to hit the returns that will make our investors happy, he decided to look forward and say, this is the goal for the first quarter. And if and when we hit this goal, we will have met plan. And once we've met plan, we're able to then reward the team based on that. So essentially, in order to do what we need to do to succeed, this is the number. And anything on top of that can go into a pool that's more rewards-based driven, bonuses, profit sharing for certain employees in the business. So he started to create this and decided in order to do that, they needed to know what they were working towards. What is the goal? So they had this big board and they wrote 515 tractors on it. And that was the goal that they wanted to pump out a week. And if they hit that goal, then they knew there would be X amount of money in a profit sharing and they would all get a percentage of it. And it really improved the amount of investment in the team, and it improved the ability for the team to understand why. So essentially, what he was saying was, you realize in business that you have people that work for you, and most businesses see those people as employees. And employees aren't usually given more information than they need, right? Do this, don't do this, this is why not. But if you invite them into the business process and you tell it to them like a game, you're more apt to get buy-in, involvement, and understanding because they know how that impacts them. So open book finance basically means here's our finances and they're open. You can take a look at them. You can see where we're at, what we're doing, what our numbers are. There's different levels of it that companies run. When we first tried rolling this out, we couldn't do it truly because we have a whole bunch of independent contractors and they're not employees. And so we set it up mostly with the front desk side so that we could see those numbers and then share as much of the book as we can with the team. You'll see some of that coming out shortly as we talk to the team about the rates. I've spent a lot of time in the past week figuring out what each thing that we spend money on, what the cost is per massage, per front desk. So there's a lot of different things that we can do when you're looking at numbers that tell the story of where you're at. Okay, so the great game of business. How do you get your employees to see themselves as members on a team? So the best way to teach this is to think about sports. And over the years, I've talked to a lot of people, and not a lot of people, and not everyone loves sport. And a lot of times people like different sports. So what I usually do when I talk about this is talk about 2 specific scoreboards and what it means. So the first one is going to be Michigan Stadium scoreboard. Most people in Ann Arbor have been to a U of M game at some point or seen one on TV. So just going to pause a second, kind of give you the definition of what it is again, and then kind of get into the nits and bits about how balance has adapted it over the years and what we want to do with it over the next year. So open book finance at balance means that we set plan for the month. That plan doesn't change. What we have to do is change the way we're playing the game to hit plan. There are things the front desk controls and there are things the front desk doesn't control. But we still can impact plan by how we're running our days. So for our scoreboard, we have session count is the first one. We never actually do a massage. So we don't technically impact session count, but we do in ways that you might not see. Like if a therapist calls in sick, asking them, did you want to pick a shift up later this week, and moving those clients over. Then that's a net zero loss in that if we can move people. Also, we can let the L team know we have same day openings and try to get those booked. We can refer to the same day cancellation list if we've had a cancellation. So there are things that we can do that do help us hit plan, even though we are not ever going to massage. So that's one line item on our scoreboard, right? So why a scoreboard? Why this talk of game? Well, if you go to Michigan Stadium and say you're running late, so you get there and you want to know what's going on, you're probably not just going to turn to the person next to you and say, catch me up. The best thing you can do is look to the scoreboard, and there's two huge ones on the either ends of the end zone. And so I know this is going to be backwards when you're looking at it on the screen, and I will put this image below for you to see too. But if you look at the Michigan Stadium scoreboard when you're sitting there, it shares a lot of information with you. It's going to share the score, obviously, how much time's left, the stats for rushing, passing, total yards, how many seconds are left, and then on the game clock, so before one team has to hike the ball, and then what quarter it's in, how many timeouts are left for each team. So looking at this right now, we know it is 25-17. We're in the fourth quarter. There's 8 minutes, 42 seconds left. Each team both has 3 timeouts. Utah is winning. They have 49 passing yards to Michigan's 37, rushing yards, 289 passing yards to Michigan's 156, and total yards of 338 to Michigan's 193. So if you're a true football fan, you probably could even look here and understand that Michigan is going to be down. So with 8 minutes and 42 seconds left in this game, the coaches have to decide, what are we going to do that's going to put us in the best position to win? And the fans can look, I'm even wearing my Anna Arbaugh shirt today in honor of this. The fans can look to the scoreboard and know what's happening. If there's a timeout left, how much time's left. The scoreboard tells the story of the game. The goal of any game is to what? It's to win. We play games to win. So the same thing in business. You can take a scoreboard and see, what time is it? It's the 27th of January. So it's later into the fourth quarter of this month, right? Don't think of quarter in that terms of finances. Just think of it in terms of how we're talking about the game. So what are we doing today to try to hit the numbers that we still might be needs focus or challenging? So these are the things that you've been saying during your time with us. You see how they're rated, and you see what that means for us to hit plan. What you haven't seen is the reward that comes into it, or how we would change the way we play the game. So the next thing I like to talk about is hockey, because I think this is the best way to quickly describe how you can change the game, the way you're playing it, very quickly. There's 3 periods in a hockey game, and there's 5 players on the ice at any time and a goalie. If you're up 1-0 in the first period, you're going to maintain that structure. 5 on and a goalie. If it's 2 minutes left in the third period, though, and you're down 1, a lot of times teams will pull their goalie, which means they've decided we're not going to defend our net. What we're going to do is put an extra man on offense. So we have 6 against 5 in hopes that we have more potential or opportunity to score to tie the game at 1-1, or tie the game. If we tie the game, then we can go back to 5 on the ice and put a goalie back to defend our goal. If we don't score and they score against us, well, we were going towards losing anyway, so that doesn't necessarily hurt our chances of winning. In football, it would kind of be like an onside kick at the end of the game. Sometimes teams are going to try to do an onside kick to recover, to be able to go right back on offense. The odds of that happening aren't great, but teams will do it when they need it to make sure that they have to score to win. So we're at 10 minutes, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up. And then next week, or even later this week, we can get into a little bit more about our scoreboard. I don't want to make this so long and drawn out that you're not able to think about it. So what I want you to do is I'm going to provide a link to a little reading, and I'm going to have you just do a quick review of what this is. Brent and Mike also had done a video a while ago to describe it. I haven't watched that in a bit, but I'll watch that, and if that's worth getting another take on, we'll provide that for you this week. But the most important thing that you can do is start thinking about how balance can use the scoreboard to set a plan that means balance has won. And once we win, then what is the rewards that the teams feel? For the front desk team, what we're going to be rolling out starting next month is picking a line item or two and setting goals based on hitting plan, much like a mini game. Scoreboards are big versions of mini games. In fact, mini games break down from the scoreboard where you want to highlight one thing to focus on. So a mini game is a big version of plan. We set it, we work on that, and that's what we're committed to. And we know our efforts and energy are focused on that because that's going to have the greatest impact that week or that day if it's a sale day. So when you're thinking this through, think about what a scoreboard can mean to a business and the team that is helping play the game. And internalize that. Just spend some time thinking about it and learning about it so you can talk about it with me. One of my goals for you guys this year is that you're able to converse with me and that it seems less lectury. So these videos should be where you can kind of learn, and then we're going to be able to engage in conversations, because the goal of this is to create the front desk team culture and the team reward structure that benefits the team that we have, instead of me just saying this is what you're doing. So we're inviting you into a little bit of that process so that you can feel more invested and that you know what it is you're doing and why we're focusing on the things that we're focusing on. So today, great game of business. Seeing things as a scoreboard. Look at our scoreboard again this week with the eyes of knowledge that this can be a game, that this is planned, that these are the things we're setting. We've got 27, what is today, 27, 28, 29, 30, we got 5 days left to hit plan. So let's see where we can have the impact. And you can share that in the notes below. What is the line item this week that you think you're going to have the greatest impact on to help hit plan? Okay, thanks guys. I look forward to getting the next one that's a little more detail oriented up. Next week is February 2nd, next Monday. So I'd like to have maybe it up this week so that we can go into next month just a little bit more all on the same page. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.